Burning fruit.
Hi, welcome to this video. My name is Steve from Burning Fruit, your user experience specialist. Over the past 10 years, Burning Fruit has been creating high-performing and converting websites that have transformed businesses across Australia and internationally. We're going to be sharing with you all the user experience secrets that we've learned studying user behavior in creating these websites. If you like this content, please like and subscribe, and let's get into it.
Hi everyone, my name is Steve. Welcome back to the channel, and today is going to be a really cool episode because I'm going to show you an awesome tool that's going to help you understand user behavior. And without fail, whenever I've done this with clients, they've went, wow. And it's pretty easy to do. And it's just about adding a tool to your website and being able to interpret the data. A little bit like analytics in the last episode, but this is so much more visual. Welcome back to the channel. If you are new, welcome, and please click and subscribe, and we will be creating more and more cool content to help your online presence for your venture. And you'll find that with these little transformational secrets, you're going to get more and more engagement to your website without fail. Today's episode, as I said, is going to be really cool. It's going to be very visual, and it's all about heat maps. I love heat maps. They give you so much information, and it's very easy to actually apply to your website. There are a lot of tools out there these days that give you a lot of data, Google Analytics being one of them. But heat maps, they actually give you a really good idea about what's happening at a page level. So you can put a heat map on the home page or a landing page or another particular page that you're interested in, and really drill down into what is happening to that page. Okay, so the tools out there are pretty simple. Okay, well, the tools out there are pretty widely known. You can actually type in, if we type in website heat maps, the tools available there are quite a few tools available to you to add heat mapping to your site. My choice, well, there's a couple of choices. My preferred choice is Crazy Egg, because Crazy Egg allows those heat maps to be downloaded very easily. It gives you some pretty simple stats to use with clients, and they're pretty easy to use. But there's Hotjar, there's a lot of other things. There's SiteImprove also provide heat mapping, but there's a lot of heat map tools out there. You just got to find one that suits you. Okay, Crazy Egg is pretty simple. Okay, so that's what I would recommend for any sort of newbies that haven't actually had heat mapping on their site as yet. So what we're going to do is just dive in. Okay, and I'm going to use a simple website example so it's really clear for you to see how to read these heat maps. Here we go. So this is the site that I'm going to use as an example of heat maps. Very easy to follow. Okay, Strong Money Australia, they are number one on Amazon. They're one of the top 5 podcasts on Spotify. So doing really well. And their website was overhauled maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Really, from a really basic blog type website to something that's really clean. It's got stacks of credibility, really cool statistics, really cool user journeys. It's got a whole bunch of stuff in it that visitors really like. So it's a really good example to use in terms of visitation and really clear journeys. We're just going to use the homepage as an example. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just flip over to what we call a heat map. So this is what we call a scroll map. And there's different types of heat maps that you have on websites. This is called a scroll map. So the scroll map shows you how far people actually scroll down the page. And there are a couple of standard patterns that go across all websites, but then there's other patterns that are pretty unique to other websites. So for this particular homepage, you've got to remember that the lighter the color is, the more active and the longer visitors are staying on that particular section of your site. And it is very common to see a white band across your homepage header panel. Okay, so it means that people are landing on this page. It means that people are engaged in this header panel, which is really what we want. This is the most important panel on your homepage, and you want people to be engaged. If this is dark, you've got a problem. It's very unlikely it's going to be dark because that's what people are landing on. But if it is dark, you've got to fix something. We've got some really nice journeys here. We've got a really cool image of someone who wants to get on the road to retirement, which is excellent for anyone, and at a really young age, shall I say. And then there's two really clear user journeys here, so that's really pretty bright as well. So new to financial independence, or you're already on financial independence. So it's two really clear demographics. Scrolling down the page, we've got the credibility panel, which is cool. We've got an introduction to Dave, who owns Strong Money Australia. He releases articles. This is an interesting band, so join over 5,000 readers. So it's a sign up panel. And then, typical of most websites, it gets darker and darker and darker as you go down the page, which means people are less engaged. And you got to remember that, because if you got important pieces of information or important panels further down the page on your website, you should be moving them up. Okay. And as most scroll maps show, people don't tend to scroll all the way down to the bottom of the website. Most important information, most critical information needs to be further up your website. And this proves it. You've always wondered why? This proves it. The second heat map is where people click. Okay, we've had around 5,900 clicks on this particular heat map, and you can actually see in all the light areas where people have actually clicked. Like all content, menu item has been pretty heavily clicked. This top article, you can actually see that there are some clicks over here. So people have actually wanted to click on this area here. So it may be wise to actually add a couple of links. So reach financial independence. People want to click on that. Do we add a link there or not? Do we make the user journey easier or not? Those are the things you've got to think about. We've got a lot of clicks on this particular call to action and this call to action, but once again, people are clicking in this box and this box. So they're probably clicking on this box, realizing you can't click on there, so they click on the button. But do we make it easier for them just to click on this whole section here? That's what you've got to think about. No one really clicks on the credibility panel. People want to find out about Dave's story. People want to click on the articles. People flip through the articles. They click on this title, the latest articles, which is really cool. So they go to the full blog page. So more often than not, visitors are actually clicking on the right areas. What you've got to look out for are people clicking on the wrong areas, or clicking on areas. If there's a heavy clickage on an area that should be moved further up the page, then that's what you've got to think about. Okay. So pretty good. That's a pretty good heat map, considering there's a lot of clicks. There's a lot of clicks where we want people to click and clicks throughout the homepage, which is really, really helpful. What are the most popular ones? What are the least popular ones? Very, very interesting. So this search content also gets a lot of clicks. So people click on there and just do a simple text search. Do we make that more prominent? Is there a huge amount of volume going to this particular search content box? In which case, do we make it more of a feature on the homepage? Those are the things you got to think about. Here is an overlay. So it's a click map, pretty much. So it shows you how many clicks certain elements on your homepage are attracting. It's pretty simple stuff. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand this sort of stuff. You just need the data. Okay. And Crazy Egg, which is what this website is based on. Crazy Egg, you just install using a particular code and it will give you all this data. Okay. So same again, on this particular call to action, there's 38 clicks, 123 clicks on the about. We have, if you look behind here, there's 215 clicks on all content. There's 47 clicks on this particular article, but 208 clicks on this article. Pretty significant. If we look at the search content, it's got about 43 clicks, which is pretty significant. Pretty significant. We've got 119 clicks on Dave's 5 journey call to action. There was a click on here. There's some clicks on the article. So there's 13 clicks on this particular image and 40 clicks on this image. So this tells me that these images are being clicked and we really should make these images clickable. People are clicking on this 5,000. So do we make it clickable? Absolutely. And then scrolling down, there's 86 clicks on the scroll bars, which is what we want. 19 clicks on show all recommendations, so recommended resources. So really, really helpful when in terms of what users are actually doing on this particular page. The last thing I want to show you is what we call a confetti. And it's on Crazy Egg, it's a PDF. So this tells you for the same time period, and it's a 60-day snapshot. So 6,000 visits over 60 days, which is a really good, nice data set. You can actually get another set of data. So on this particular confetti, you can actually see that 2,300 of these clicks were from a direct source. So people went straight to Strong Money from their browser. Then 971 from Google searches. An internal link, 138 from internally on the website. Bing served up 133 of these clicks. Google.com.au, so the Australian version of Google, sent through 111 visitors. 111 clicks. So you can actually see what sources these clicks actually came from, which is really, really helpful. If I scroll down to the next one, this shows you the countries. So 3,900 actually come from Australia. 331 come from Russia, which is very interesting. If you're getting a lot of traffic from a foreign country that has absolutely nothing to do with your website, you probably want to block it off. Okay. And something like Cloudflare allows you to really siphon all your visitors into certain countries. This next one, new and returning visitors. This next one, again, really narrows down to what search engines are actually serving up these clicks to your website. So Google, Bing, DuckDuckGo, and Yahoo. Interestingly, DuckDuckGo is above Yahoo. Desktop, phone. So really important to understand what the visitation is between the two. If you think that most people are on mobile phones, well, this tells you different. Okay, this shows you that most people in this particular demographic or for this particular website, most people are visiting the site on desktop. And it gives you a whole heap of set of data as well that you can really derive. So Windows versus Mac OS, what types of browsers, etc., etc., etc. So what we've talked about in the last two episodes, the first is all about analytics and how you can understand certain user behaviors in analytics and how easy it is to derive some knowledge through analytics. The second is through looking at heat maps, and just installing a little widget on your website will get you a whole heap of data. Okay. How do you marry the two together? Well, from an analytics perspective, what you want to do is find out what your most popular pages are and what your bounce rates are. Once you find those bounce rates and you find the bounce rates are a little high, so let's say, for example, the Venue Maestro bounce rate was sort of 45%, 50%. What you want to do is put a heat map on that page. And once you put a heat map on that page, you'll be able to find out where people are clicking, how far people are scrolling, what the most popular areas of that particular page are. And then you can start doing something about it. Okay, it's as simple as that. If you do not understand what your users are doing on your pages, then that is a problem and you're just guessing. You need to base your decisions, your website decisions, on data that you collect. You can ask your SEO guy to supply some of the data, the analytics data, but my advice to you is get access to your analytics, put some heat mapping on your page, and those are two really simple things you can do to understand user behavior yourself. Don't rely on anyone else. You can do this yourself. Two really, really simple things. This stuff is really, really exciting. Once you start being able to interpret it, so all the changes that you've done in the past, now you can actually measure it. And once you start measuring, it gets very, very exciting. You start changing things and you start seeing positive upticks in your visitation. My name is Stephen Wigley. Thank you so much for joining me on this particular episode. I will see you in the next one. Burning fruit.